Best of r/entitled parents episode 204. Subscribe for Reddit videos daily. EM demands absolute silence in an apartment complex. So I live with my parents and brothers in an apartment complex with 11 other units. There would be noise that would go around, but all neighbors don't take much notice or mind it very much, since after all it is an apartment complex with families living their lives. So about 3 years ago, EM, 78Y/O woman, complained to us accusing us of slamming our door, to which I can assure you we weren't, since our door has a dampener. This went on for a few months until she wrote in chalk, Unit X, "Stop slamming your door." We tried to complain about it to the body corporate, but since EM was a part of it, nothing was done. She consistently complained about the noises of a mother and son talking in normal speaking voices while walking out of the building, as well as our door, and another family living upstairs who were raising a baby. A bit of a side note here, she tried to whinge and say we are old people. We don't want noise. But you decided to move near a busy road and a railway corridor. How can you expect no noise? Or better yet, blame US for IT. EM's daughter was so sick of her mother's exacerbated intolerance for room-level noise that she moved out. One day after returning from school, I decided to do some chores and take out the trash, and upon re-entering the building, she wrote in chalk on the wall again, accusing me of slamming the door, and giving a specific timestamp to when I came home from school. Again, we tried to report her, but she pulled strings to have it dismissed. After accosting a number of families and parents with children living in the same complex for noise, and many failed attempts at trying to report her for harassment, all the families have taken it upon ourselves to make plenty of noise. A dad and his children love screaming into the corridor where she lives and ding ditch her before running back into their apartments, with the direction of their dad. A mother and a daughter cough loudly when walking through the lobby, and my family, we make sure to slam the front door hard and loud, and speak loudly when we are entering the building. If she wants to complain about noise, we will give her noise. She began to harass and single out the mother and daughter, to which they responded, there are families living here. If you don't want noise, then why don't you move into a nursing home? I know quite a few. EM is still persisting with these complaints today, to which she is not getting what she wants, and I think she should take the advice on the nursing home. Thank you. Next. ED lies for his kid. Child comes clean and leaves ED in shock. Lem drop some context on you. Where I live, across my house is a church where people do church things. IDK what they do. I am a Muslim. So last year, I was riding my bike across the neighborhood on a Sunday. People were outside having a gay old time, laughing, chatting. It looked nice. I was riding towards it and rang my bell to let people know I was coming through. Gap formed and I was going through before a girl jumped in front of me. In my panic, I yelled, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," and crashed into a tree. I was in some pain, but I didn't break anything. Girl comes up to me and says, "OMG, I didn't mean it. I was trying to stop you because there were a bunch of people here. I am so sorry." Me, "I see, but there was a gap forming." Girl, "Sorry." Me, "It's okay." Then there is man that is shoving through the crowd saying, "Why are you showing sympathy for this stupid boy? Hey you. Get up." Me, gets up slowly because my leg is hurting. ED, stand up properly. This man had a Nigerian accent, so he was very strict and passionate. Me, I can't. I think I pulled a muscle. ED, why is he acting as though he is pain? Girl, Dad, let me explain. ED, I don't want to hear it. Rose, me, let your kid talk. She'll speak the truth. ED, oh, she knows the truth. You attacked her. And when I was coming out you acted like the victim. Girl, no he didn't. Me, suppresses laughter. Girl, Dad, stop lying. Me, tries not to lose it. ED looked at me, then looks at his daughter, then everyone around watching this entire thing unfold. I couldn't hold it back. I burst out laughing uncontrollably. ED, stop laughing. Stop it. Me, listen, I gotta go home, so, bye. And I ride back home. Sometimes when I am in my bedroom I'll look out the window, look at the church and start smiling. The end. Thank you. Next. EM calls police over my clothesline. Cast, M, me EM, Banshee P. Very nice police officer. This takes place in my hometown. A house had been built right next to ours over the course of the past year and a half, and a small family moved into it. We never met the family, as we are usually not ones to go out of our way to meet people, so it came as a huge surprise when this happened. We have a backyard, which is private. It is surrounded by fence with a locking gate. M's house had a deck that overlooked our backyard. Midwinter, our dryer decided to die, and we had to take all our clothes to the closest laundromat to dry at least once a week. Once spring rolled around, I decided to put a clothesline in our backyard to help save money. A few weeks went by, and at least once a week, I would be out there hanging loads of laundry to dry. On one such occasion, our neighbor, EM, was out on her deck talking on her phone. I paid her no mind, and just hung my clothes to dry. As I was headed back inside, I heard the dreaded banshee screech that was EM. EM, hey, boy, I'm a woman, but I have my hair cut short with most of it buzzed, so I can see why she assumed I was a boy. I looked over, mostly because of the noise she made, not because I thought she was talking to me, but unfortunately she was. EM, you can't hang those out here. M, what? My clothes? EM, yay. You can't hang your filthy underwear out here where I have to look at them. What if my kids see? Are you some kind of pervert? M, lady, it's my backyard. If I wanna hang my laundry to dry in my backyard, I can. And with that, I flipped her the universal sign to go pleasure herself, and went inside. About a half hour later, I hear a knock on my door. When I answer it, there is a police officer standing at my door. Good afternoon, ma'am. He knew I was a woman, and yet somehow EM didn't. We received a call about a pedophile in this residence trying to flash children. Would you happen to know anything about this? M, seriously? EM was just screaming about me for hanging my underwear on my clothesline out back. I assure you nothing else is happening. P, do you mind if I take a look? M, with nothing to hide of course. I showed the officer my clothesline, and we could clearly see EM glaring at us with a smug look on her face from her deck. The officer thanked me, went to speak with EM, and that was that. Thank you. Next. My entitled mother complains that disabled people are hogging the disabled seating on a bus. She isn't disabled. My mother is a mega entitled Karen. I am no longer in contact with her, but I have heaps of stories about her when I was younger which you guys seem to like, so here's yet another one for you. Enjoy. This happened when I was 14 and we had recently moved to another country. The town was small and there wasn't a whole lot of public transport. Only a few taxis and one bus which had wheelchair seating. The wheelchair seating area was at the front of the bus with 3 seats on one side that would fold down from the wall to sit on, or a wheelchair or pram could sit in front of one of them. One day I was with my mum and we had to travel to the next town over, but mum's car was at the mechanics. So we took the bus that departed at the same time every day and returned a few hours later. Only one trip to and from the towns in the area each day. The bus arrived not long after we started waiting at the bus stop. When we got on, there were already people seated in the disabled seating. A mother with her baby in a pram beside her and a middle-aged man in a wheelchair that lived in our town. There were seats available at the back of the bus which I assumed we would both sit at. Nope. Karen, addressing the woman with her baby in the pram, excuse me, do you mind moving your pram so I can sit there? Sorry, but I can't move the pram. There's nowhere else for it to sit without it being in the way. Karen, but it's in my way. Can't you just sit in another seat? No ma'am, I'm not moving. Go sit somewhere else. It seemed like this woman had encountered Karens before and didn't take their BS. Karen, I have a disability though and can't walk all the way to the back of the bus. Me, no you don't mum. Stop it and sit up the back. Stop making a scene. Karen, her face going red from me calling her out on her BS. HMFFF. Fine, whatever. And she reluctantly went to sit in another seat. Me, to the woman with the baby, I'm so sorry mom. I was so embarrassed by my mum's behavior. This was around the time when I started calling her out on her entitlement and I was sick of her doing stuff like that. News travels fast in a small town, so her actions made other people look at me as well, and I didn't want them thinking I was anything like her. I am not and never will be. Thanks for reading. Thank you. Next. Mama Bear gives Karen a lesson. Okay, so this story happened when I was 4 years old and my younger brother was 3. There was this kid, let's call him John, and he was 6 years old and he would go play outside and bully my younger brother. He was an entitled kid, so his mom would let him do whatever he wants. His mom, let's call her Karen, would allow her son to hit my brother. My brother would tell my mom and she would ask Karen to tell her son to stop bullying my brother in a calm manner. Her normal response were, my baby doesn't hit other children. He is an angel. My mom would just leave since she doesn't want to start an argument with her. One day my mom asked me to defend my brother. I said yes, even though I was a 4-year-old girl. My brother and I were playing in the front yard and John was coming towards us to hit my brother. But I raised my small hand and slapped him. I slapped him so hard that he fell. Keep this in mind that my hand was strong for a 4-year-old and my hand is still strong till this day. Karen saw the whole thing and came running to check up on her precious baby. My mom came out running to check if we were okay. What Karen said to my mom made my lose her cool. Karen said, how dare of your daughter to slap my precious boy. You should raise them not to be salvages. If I see your children hit my baby again, I am going hit them. At that moment my mom was pissed. She put down her bag since we were going to the store to get groceries and proceeded to teach Karen a lesson. Karen didn't put up much of a fight and our neighbors separated them. Our neighbors were cheering for my mom since Karen was a troublemaker and they had enough of her and her kid. Karen and her son ran away and I was rewarded with treats since I defended my brother. Never mess with a mama bear. Thank you. Next. Either you give us grandchildren, or we're taking you off our will. The title sounds bad. The story is even worse. I never thought I would be writing a post about my own parents here. But here we are, right? For context, my fiancé and I have been in a relationship for the past 10 years, and just recently got engaged. While it's understandable that 10 years might sound a bit too much, we started dating really early and getting married was not a priority for either of us. We actually preferred to focus on our studies and career for a while. She's a civil engineer, and I'm a medical student after getting a bachelor's and a master's. I do freelancing as a developer to pay for my living expenses. As we have been a couple for a long time, it's quite common for people to ask us when we're getting married and when we're having kids. While we are getting married as soon as I finish med school, we decided not to have children a long time ago, and we're still very certain of that decision, as both of us are more career than family oriented. However, since the engagement, our families have started to put more pressure on us to get married soon and have children, even though we told them plenty of times that's not gonna happen. My fiancé and I live together and we're completely independent from our families financially. Some time ago, during a video chat, we ended up getting into a heated argument with our families for finally snapping at their ceaseless nagging for grandchildren, and we have been strained ever since. Now, our families asked us to meet them for a luncheon family at my parents' house. We don't live in the same city, but it's close enough that we can go there for something like this, and that's when the following situation transpired. We arrived early enough to help out in preparing everything for the lunch, and for the next hour or so, things were pretty alright. But after we had lunch and we sat at the coffee table to chat, it's customary here, the room got visibly tense. Our parents, both hers and mine, started a speech about how much they put into us, how much they worked for us and how much family means to them. I was already sensing some shitty thing coming but I kept listening. Suddenly, they said that during one of their talks, they came to a decision, that if my fiancé and I didn't give them grandchildren, after all they had done for us, we would be cut out of their wills. Their reasoning was this: my brother is a gay man, and as of now, have no intention of adopting or any alternative to have children, and I was the only option on continuing the family. He was not there, and is as mortified as I am. She is the oldest sister, her younger sister is still in high school, and thus, must set her example by having a family and continuing the family. Now, if that's not psychotic, I have no clue what is. We quickly looked between ourselves and immediately left their house. We haven't spoken to them since, but as far as we are aware, we're disowned by now. I never thought I would have to go through that, just because I don't want to have children, but it just shows how much entitlement they think they have. Cheers. TL. Doctor, my family and my in-laws decided to cut my fiancé and I from their wills because we won't give them grandchildren. Edit. I did not expect this to grow so much in just a few hours. Thank you everyone for the replies. Sadly, I don't think I'll be able to respond to everyone, so I'll just clear a few things here. My fiancé and I have absolutely no interest in their inheritance. We've been fine on our own for a long time and we can take care of ourselves. Thus, we have absolutely no intention of contesting their will. We don't need that money and we don't want it. I only posted this here due to the absurdity of their actions. We have decided to cut contact with them and uninvited them from our wedding. My brother is giving us full support on this, and as he is my best man, this already means the world to me. It's regrettable that it came to this outcome, but we are not going to let they run our lives. Some people asked us why don't we want to have kids. There's a few reasons for that, especially the fact that we are both extremely focused on our careers. Having a child is a responsibility to raise someone and give them the affection, lessons and time needed. Neither of us want to go through that just to birth someone. Also, we have firm beliefs that the world already has people enough without us putting someone else on it. Lastly, neither of us really likes kids, as bad as that might sound. We have no intention of ever giving birth to a child. Thank you. Next. Karen at the pool. Oh god. I work at this community pool, for the neighborhood only, not a big job. I really just sit there and make sure no one drowns and nothing usually goes wrong. Right now we have a no guest rule for Corona, only the people in the neighborhood. So I see this lady coming with a Karen cut. I was ready for complaining. So she has 3 kids with her, one about 10, and near 7, and a really small one, probably like 9 months, way too young to swim, 10 id, OPK 7 id, mech baby, and she tells OPK to watch baby. Mech decides to get in the water with EP while OPK holds the baby. OFC because OPK was like 10 she gets bored so she hops in the water putting baby in the little kiddie float. Fast forward and OPK Mech and EP forgot about the child. Soon enough I hear crying and see the baby out of the float. I jump in and pat her back to make sure that the water was out of her throat. EP walks over, thanks me and walks away. No snarky remarks or anything. So here I am thinking maybe the Karen cut wasn't a sign until 5 minutes later EP is yelling at OPK for letting the baby fall in the water. She's screaming what's wrong with you B she's yelling at a little boy, for being a kid. Wow anyway I walk over and ask what's wrong. EP said can we please get our bills cut in half excuse me mom what? Well, OPK's name, almost killed my kid. So we should get half off cause this pool is part of the house. That's not how this works mom I am sorry. So after an hour she leaves, and forgets OPK so I ask who his mom was which house sect. And the police come ask some questions and I wasn't there so I don't know what happened. Also Mech kinda just stood there so she wasn't in the story often.